we've got a game that starts out as just jumping on blocks. So how does that turn into a place where players are literally coding their own universes? Well, that's what we're digging into today, the absolutely wild evolution of blocks.io. It all starts right here. I mean, look at this. A super simple parkour game. How does this somehow become this? A whole universe literally designed and built by the players themselves? It's an insane journey, and we're going to break it all down. Okay, so here's how we're going to look at it. We'll start with the initial spark back in 2021, then move into building a new world in 2022. 2023 was all about frontiers and conflict. Then we get to 2024, a year of chaos and crisis, but also community. And that leads us right up to what I'm calling the player-creator era. All right, let's dive in. We're going back to 2021. This is where it all began, the year the game's DNA was first sketched out. So in January, it drops as blocks.io, and that's pretty much all it was, a little parkour game. A couple months later, you could finally make an account, which was cool. But the real moment, the first huge pivot, came in October. Cube Warfare arrived, and with it came PvP, player versus player combat. And that one addition, it changed everything. Now, around this same time, the original developer, King, handed the reins over to Arthur. And he started adding those core features we kind of take for granted now. Leaderboards, custom names, all that stuff. The game was still pretty simple, for sure. But introducing PvP, man, that planted the seeds for a much, much bigger world. And then we get to 2022. And this is the year things just exploded. It stopped being just a collection of mini-games and became a real, honest-to-goodness creative sandbox. And what was the spark for that explosion? It was this new game mode called Worlds. This wasn't just another minigame, it was a total change in philosophy. Suddenly, you weren't just playing in the game, you were building it. You could own your own persistent world, craft things, protect your own land. It was a massive shift of power to the player. And the updates just came flying in. I mean, the pace was just insane. In June, we get inventory and crafting. By September, survival and worlds are officially launched. Just 1 month later, creative mode drops, giving players unlimited blocks and the ability to fly. Total God mode. And to top it all off, in December, we get Bed Wars, a game mode that is still a huge, huge part of the community today. And all this new player power, it was about to be put to the test in the very first community vote. The choice was between two totally different ideas. One block, this intense survival challenge, and Greenville, which is more like a city simulator. And you know what? Greenville won. And that was a huge signal from the developers. They were serious about letting the players call the shots. Okay, so that brings us to 2023. This year was all about expansion. The world itself got bigger, and the way players fought each other got way deeper, way more strategic. So yeah, we got new biomes like snowy plains and new forests, which was awesome. But the real game changer was the new combat depth. It wasn't just about hitting each other anymore. Food suddenly gave you buffs, like plums gave you a damage boost, coconuts made you faster. You throw potions into that mix, and suddenly PvP wasn't just a free-for-all, it actually required strategy. And you could see the developers were really watching how people played. See, players figured out you could just food spam, basically just constantly eat bread to heal instantly in the middle of a fight. It kind of broke combat. So what was the fix? Super simple, but genius. A food eating time. Now you had to hold the button down to eat. You couldn't just instantly heal. You had to pick your moment. Such a small tweak, but it had a massive impact on balancing fights. All right, now let's talk about 2024. Because this was a rough year. A year of serious growing pains. It was the year that a major crisis put the entire game and its community to the test. Yeah, what does happen when your game's security gets compromised? It's a nightmare scenario for any developer. And in February 2024, for blocks.io, that nightmare became very, very real. This right here, this was the announcement from Arthur that just sent shockwaves through the entire community. A staff member's Discord account got breached, and through that, a hacker got into the admin panel. I mean, that is bad. The threat was absolutely real, and it was happening right now. So with things like user IDs, IPs, and emails exposed, they had to act fast and they had to act decisively. They took the entire game offline, they rebuilt the servers, and they figured out a major weak point was malicious user scripts, these third-party scripts that people were using. So to protect everyone, they made a tough call, a total ban on all user scripts, period. But here's what's truly incredible. Right after this massive crisis, the very next month, what does the team do? They don't just fix things, they expand. They add support for 19 new languages. That's just wow. It shows some serious resilience and a real commitment to their global community, even when things were at their worst. And that resilience brings us to our final era, 2025. This is where the whole journey really culminates, putting just an unprecedented amount of creative power right into the players' hands. And the key to all this is something called the World Builder tool. Think of it like giving players a set of developer tools. They could now use commands to do crazy stuff, copy and paste huge structures, swap out thousands of blocks at once, and save their creations to share. The scale of what you could build just went from big to massive. And it wasn't just about building anymore, oh no. Players could now create and publish their own maps for modes like Bed Wars and Sky Wars. They got code blocks, which let them do actual programming inside the game. They could even control the world's ecosystem with mob spawners. See the shift? They weren't just building structures anymore. They were building entire experiences. And again, just look at how quickly this happened. World Builder drops in January, code blocks in February, custom maps are possible by March, and then in May, boom, a whole portal dedicated to showcasing custom games made by players. The transformation from player to creator was complete. So there you have it. From a simple parkour game to a universe built and coded by its players, it's been one heck of an evolution. And it leaves us with this really interesting question to think about. Now that players have the tools of developers, what's the next frontier? Is the future of Blocks.io going to be built by the players themselves?